So we're in the depths of the bear market right now. Figured I'd do a video since it's been a while. It's been kind of a boring couple of years of just DCA and chill. But right now is probably the best time to be buying crypto. Stocks are at all time highs. Um, but it's just a good time to be just dollar cost averaging into everything, which is exactly what I've been doing and continue to do. Um, but there's some cool stuff going on, news and whatnot. So, like on the crypto end of things, the big stories right now are the the Clarity Act from the government, Ethereum tokenizing all stocks, BlackRock's moving stocks on chain. We're seeing stocks on decentralized exchanges and showing up in wallets and whatnot. So now you can get all stocks 24/7, which is crazy because I remember talking about this as an idea, like when I first got into crypto, like why aren't stocks 24/7? Why does the stock market close at 4 o'clock every day when it's all digital anyway? And all this crypto stuff is 24/7. Makes no sense. It's basically the same thing, except one closes and one doesn't. So now we're finally updating the stock market, moving everything on chain. So that's a huge story for Ethereum. Um, and what else? I mean, basically, it's just those two big stories. We didn't really get an alt season, but I think that could come back when Ethereum runs again. We'll get the trickle down again. Uh, Maybe some of the altcoins, institutions are involved now, so I think like the big dogs are the main places to have your money. We'll probably get a run on alts again once Ethereum pumps to new all-time highs. When Ethereum's like 10K, I'm sure people will start gambling on meme coins and other stuff again, and those could run. The good news is that with like a bear market like this, like you don't even have to go dumpster diving for like some random altcoin. I mean, even Solana is at like 75, so or whatever it is right now. So you can just buy like the good stuff right now at super cheap bargain prices. Gamble later once you've made a ton of money on those, and that's exactly what will happen. Um, Most likely, anyway, right? Which is another kind of story is with the meme coins. I think that the retailers that were gambling on a lot of these tokens have moved to prediction markets now. So that's where all the degenerate gamblers are. It's on like Kalshi and shit like that. Um, which doesn't mean that they won't come back to meme coins again once crazy gains start being seen there again. I'm sure that'll happen in one form or the other. But prediction markets started in crypto, right? It was Poly Market on Polygon, Ethereum Layer 2, and now we have all these copycats. Like Robinhood's got prediction markets. I mean, they're all over the place. It's super popular right now, and that's where the gamblers go. That's where the degenerate money or retail money is right now. Is gambling on like the weather or what Trump's going to say in his next speech or some nonsense. But that'll get boring and old. I'm sure there will be people who stay there, but money always moves around. It'll come back. The big altcoins that I'm looking at right now, like if you're gonna pick altcoins, uh, I mean, I guess if you count Ethereum as an altcoin, I don't really even count that as that anymore. I think now that BlackRock's completely involved in Ethereum, I think that's pretty much it's going to be around forever now. It's going to be where all the tokenized stocks are. It already is. But Ethereum obviously is at good prices right now. Solana also has tokenized stocks going on, and uh, a lot of a lot of big money is investing in Solana too. So I think that's going to be one of the biggest winners next cycle, next bull market. Uh, and if you're not aware, with the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, like this right now is like the depths of the bear market. Right now is probably as low as we're going to go. We saw like 50K Maybe we'll see like 40K if the Clarity Act fails or whatever. We might see a little bit lower. But everybody's kind of calling for one leg lower, and I feel like now that the institutions are involved, like everything's more mellow. Just like we didn't get a crazy blow off top in the last cycle, we're probably not going to get like a crazy low again. It's probably just going to be mellow, just like the top was kind of mellow. So if we just grind sideways for a while here and uh, eventually just go back into a new bull market, that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, the Clarity Act, I don't really think matters all that much. I mean, that's just the United States. Like crypto is global. I really couldn't care less. If it passes, it'll pump our bags, which is good, but it doesn't really matter ultimately. Uh, the bigger story is the tokenization of stocks and moving everything on chain. That's going to be huge. And the altcoins I'm looking at, like, you know, just buy the main things that create revenue, like Sky token is a good one, like stable coins, like that has real yield that pays you passive income. So that's a really good one. Ondo is another one. They're the ones helping tokenizing stocks. Like Uniswap is probably a good one, the best decentralized exchange, the biggest one. Uh, the lending protocols, Aave, Compound, those are probably good buys. Like just buy the infrastructure of the whole market. What are the big things? Everything is at like bear market lows right now. So you could buy literally all the best ones at bargain prices. So just get those, like uh Tau is another one. Decentralized AI, Ondo, tokenizing stocks, Uniswap, biggest DEX, Aave and Compounds, biggest lenders. Um, and then just like the layer ones like Solana. Honestly, most of the other layer ones, I feel like Ethereum and Solana are just going to dominate. I think that's kind of over with. Uh, so yeah, but what I'm personally doing, like I have my crypto bags and I have staking and passive income that like I'm buying like random alts with, like Ondo. You could probably buy some meme coins too. I mean, like Pepe and Dogecoin. Like, if we get another meme coin run, like those are going to run again. The biggest ones, most popular. Um, if we get another meme coin run, those are going to blast off, and they're absolutely crushed right now. So you don't even have to pick some random meme. You can just pick the OG meme coins. Probably get a 10x on those next bull run at least. Pepe, Doge, I don't know, whatever one you want. Those are probably the two biggest ones. Um, but I kind of have my crypto bags off chain or on chain. Off I have my whole crypto world of things, and I kind of haven't really added much more real world money into that. I've kind of just let that build itself. Uh, Instead, I'm buying the ETFs in my brokerage account because it's just easier. Um, and there's some really interesting stuff like BlackRock. My daily buys right now are QQQM. I've consolidated all my stocks basically into one index, just Nasdaq 100, tech heavy AI play. QQQM grows by like 15% per year. I mean, that's solid. That's the only stock you need. Um, you could look at like some ETFs, like there's a semiconductor ETF, a soft, like if you want to play the AI thing, there's like a robotics one I was looking at, BOTZ. It's like a robotics ETF, or SMH is the semiconductor ETF. And there's another one, I'm forgetting the ticker for it, but there's a software one. And then, I mean, you basically have everything AI in ETFs, hardware, software, robotics. I mean, that's where the future is going. I guess look at macro trends, like quantum, something you could look at, like quantum stocks, or um, CRISPR and gene editing is probably going to be big with AI enhancing that in the future. Like those are things that I'm like looking at speculatively, but I haven't bought any of that stuff. Right now it's just QQQM, DCA, chill, hold the index, grows 15% per year. I mean, honestly, you put that into a dollar cost average calculator, and I mean, if you get 15% per year and you just do 10, $20 a day into that, you're like a guaranteed millionaire by the time you retire. Even better, honestly, if you're DCAing, because none of those calculators calculate in any dips along the way. It's just exponential growth the entire time. There's no way for it to calculate market downturns where you're accumulating more. So QQQM for sure. And then the crypto ones that I'm looking at are the BlackRock ones. So if you're not aware, BlackRock released, IBIT and ETH, which were their spot Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. Just spot, it just tracks the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum 1-to-1. So whatever gains Bitcoin and Ethereum gets, those stocks will also see those same percentage gains. But now they released passive income versions. So there's ETHB, which is holding spot Ethereum, but they stake it and you get like 80% of the staking rewards, which is awesome. Because staking Ethereum natively, you need 32 Ethereum to do that. Otherwise, you have to use like Rocket Pool or swap it for, like another token basically to get the yield. And it's only like 2%, but then there's smart contract risk. So if you just buy the ETF, yeah, sure, you only get 80% of it, but it's so much easier and uh, it's actually pretty nice. I don't have to natively stake the Ethereum. I can just buy the ETF and I get yield off of it. So ETHB is how I've been accumulating Ethereum since that came out. Just been buying that every day. And then for Bitcoin, they had IBIT, but now they're just released, I think in July or June, recently. This year, at some point, a couple months ago, they released BITA, which is spot Bitcoin, but 20% or 20 to 30% of it, they sell covered calls and it pays you out like they're saying 15 to 25%. So, it caps the upside on Bitcoin a little bit. You only get like, 70 to 80% of the upside if Bitcoin runs, but you get 15 to 25% passive income. It's like JEPQ, but for Bitcoin. But it's actually better because JEPQ has a way bigger cap on the upside. And it only pays out like 11, 12%. Where this Bitcoin one, you get way more of the upside if it runs and you get the passive income. So I mean that's just game changing. Honestly, I think this kind of stuff, all these covered call income ETF things, they're kind of all new. Like even JEPQ chases covered call ETF, which is it's the NASDAQ 100 underlying, but then they sell covered calls on it. So, I mean, these things are amazing because you hold these spot bags underneath. So it's an index. It's a solid index, but then you get income on top of it. Worst case scenario, they don't sell covered calls and you don't get the income, but you still have the underlying assets that will also grow. So, I mean, this stuff I think is going to be in retirement funds in the future. You'll just never have to sell. You can just hold this stuff. It gives you income and it also grows. I mean, there's no better thing to own. So I'm buying Beta, QQQM, and ETHB aggressively. Well, not really aggressively, just DCA. So every day I buy those. And BSOL is the other one, which is a Solana staking ETF from Bitwise. If you look at Bitwise, there's actually a bunch of ETFs you can get if you want to just own crypto in your brokerage and like Robinhood or whatnot, without having to buy crypto and do the whole tax thing with crypto because it'd be kind of headache. If you just buy the ETFs, it's so much easier with when it comes to doing taxes there too. Uh, but there's like a handful of ETFs. I think XRP, uh, Avalanche. I think there's even a Doge one, um, and a few others. I can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe like Cardano or something. Point is, you can go to Bitwise's website and you can see all the ETFs they've made. They're kind of the leader in the crypto ETFs, and but BlackRock has made the biggest ones, which they've only done Bitcoin and Ethereum so far. Um, but yeah, it just makes it easier, and that's a Solana staking one, so that gives you passive income too with Solana, with huge upside too potentially. Um, and what's cool about those, like Beta, BSOL, ETHB, like all these things give you income in your brokerage account, and they can also skyrocket in value in the future. And personally, I believe they will. I think we'll see Solana, it's at $75 right now. Next cycle, I would not be surprised to see it at least $500. If things get really crazy, maybe closer to $1,000. I mean, that's a 5x right there. And then you get whatever the percentage staking rewards on that increase. Same thing with Bitcoin. Right now, Beta is, well, you don't really have to even look at the price of BITA. Just look at the price of Bitcoin. It's at 65K. I mean, next cycle, it's probably going to go to like 200K, 250, maybe even higher, depending. Right now, it's very uncertain how crazy the next bull market's going to get because we're institutionalizing it. So, you know, things could happen really quick. Uh, but regardless, it's going to grow over time. And if you just accumulate it now, it's going to be passive income in the future. So that's what I'm doing. I've already got my crypto buys, my crypto bags uh, packed and on chain. And uh, so I'm good there. I don't, I can just use staking rewards to accumulate more there. I don't have to put money that I'm earning working into crypto. I'm putting those into stocks and in my broker now, just because it's easier. I can just set up my daily buys, and I'm accumulating the main assets, which is basically just QQQM and Bitcoin and Beta. So I get income off that too, which I can then fund my daily buys more with. Um, and then I've been doing ETHB and BSOL as well, and JEPQ as some stock income too. But those I'm not as heavily. Right now, I'm doing personally, my setup is $30 a day. Because if you do the math on your 401k, or sorry, not 401k, your Roth IRA, right? We're supposed to contribute $7,000 a year to that. If you max that out every year in your Roth, like you're set, especially if you're buying the right stuff. But I just kind of did the math on how much per day I need to do 7,000 a year, and that's roughly about, it's really $28 a day, I think, but it's, I mean, $30 a day, round up, another $2, and so I'm doing 15. I either do 15 Beta or QQQM, but now that I'm in like profit on those, I just added back in ETHB, BSOL, and JPQ to like start accumulating more of that because those are down right now, so you might as well buy those. Um, So right now I'm doing 10 into QQQM, 5 into JPQ, uh, 10 into Beta, and 250 each into BSOL and ETHB. So just accumulating a little bit of it per day. The majority is still QQQM and Beta. I mean, those are the two safest things. You got the entire stock market, top 100 stocks growing 15% per year, and Bitcoin, which historically is growing like 30% per year and pays you 15 to 25% uh, income. So that'll grow and then give you a nice income stream later. Um, So yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's the market right now. We're in the depths of the bear market. Maybe we go a little bit lower here, but I'm thinking, like most people are calling for October to be the Bitcoin low because that's typically when it comes in the 4-year cycle or whatnot. Uh, Maybe I tend to think that it's probably not going to be that bad because I think it's starting to stabilize. It's what I've always said that once the institutions get on board and enough money's in Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's going to start stabilizing. I mean, every single stock in history, if you go back and you look at like Apple or all these things that are, you know, major components of indexes now and weighted heavily because they're stable, they were not stable when they first came around. They were volatile. They were just like Bitcoin is or was. Now it's starting to stabilize. Um, and it's early days. And I think Bitcoin will be the same way. Once we get to like $10 trillion market cap on Bitcoin, it's going to basically be stable. And it's probably going to end up in retirement funds as like, you know, just a solid growth piece in your fund or in your retirement. Uh, so yeah, I think things are starting to stabilize. We didn't see as much upside last bull run, and we probably won't see as much downside. There's just too many people accumulating. You got BlackRock and all these institutions buying in now too. So if we go much lower, like people have talked about the cost it is to mine a Bitcoin, which is like roughly right where we are right now. So much lower than that, people are just buying it. So I don't think we go much lower. I also think that they're manipulating the price heavily. Like BlackRock just launched their IBIT beta, like they've just launched all these ETFs. Now they're selling those products to people, right? They want people to buy them in or buy into them, right? So they have the money to suppress the prices while all of their clients get in. That's probably what we just saw. That's why the bull market didn't go crazy. Uh, and they'll do the same thing in reverse. They don't want their clients feeling like they're losing all their money. If the price goes too low, they'll buy it up. They'll move the price. It's Bitcoin will never be completely controlled by these corporations, but the price can. Like they can't control the network. Like we always will be able to transact and have a peer-to-peer system, right? Um, but they can definitely manipulate the price. Ethereum is a whole other thing though, because BlackRock accumulating a ton of Ethereum, like eventually they will have control over the network if they own enough Ethereum. So, and the whole quantum thing is a whole other story, which just so you know, I'm not worried about it at all. Bitcoin can upgrade. And it's actually really interesting because if Bitcoin upgrades the whole thing without going into the details, it's kind of complicated to explain, but Bitcoin itself isn't vulnerable. Your address is what's vulnerable. Because quantum computer could like calculate your private key from your public key that's exposed. And the only way to fix that is to make your public key more private, more like Monero or some of these privacy coins. Um, so when the time comes, we're going to make Bitcoin more private. It's, I mean, that's the only way to really fix it. Uh, so it'll increase the privacy of Bitcoin too, closer to like what Zcash or Monero is, where you know nothing can be tracked by the people can't see your public address or track it or anything. So it's kind of interesting. Quantum will actually make Bitcoin better, if anything. And if you're worried about Bitcoin being hacked, I mean, our banking systems will be hacked way before Bitcoin gets hacked. Bitcoin is way more secure than any banking system. So if Bitcoin gets hacked by quantum computer, your bank account is fucked. Like, it doesn't matter where you had your money. So, everything's going to have to upgrade when that time comes. But yeah, I'm just chilling, DCAing, and just stacking.
But that's all I got. Till next time.